Well, fellas, we've gone first circle. We are now once again playing with cardboard. Ah, Nintendo. You know they had to fucking do it to them. It's really funny how all the Nintendo video essay writers were expecting this to be a slow year. And literally the first month of the year, they suddenly show us cardboard. Nintendo Labo! You could be a biker, provided you're willing to push against yourself with a lot of pressure that makes you concerned that you might ruin the play box you spent 2 freaking hours on. You can play the piano, provided you have any musical talent whatsoever, but then also have an actual instrument to use. You can be a robot, provided you're comfortable that experience or even evidence of you wearing the costume will likely destroy your chances of ever being able to reproduce with someone from the opposite sex throughout your entire life. You can customize all these toys, provided that you have Nintendo Labo, but your low-functioning autism doesn't hinder your chances of having a social life that makes it worth it. All for $70 freaking dollars. Most people believe that Nintendo was going to distance itself from more gimmick-based consoles and bring a more traditional gaming experience to consumers with the Nintendo Switch. No gamepad, no motion controls, none of that. Our first experience with the Joy-Cons in the original announcement trailer showed us they were detachable, but they worked like normal controllers otherwise. But later on, they started talking about the fact that Joy-Cons had HD rumble and stuff that made it not necessarily Okay, it's $80 now. There were also patents revealed that showed the Joy-Con doing interesting things. Want to play rock, paper, scissors with your video game controller? Sounds like the Nintendo Switch is the console for you. Nintendo drops Labo a few months later, but not like a cool mic drop, more like how some stupid kid in the school lunchroom drops his plate and everyone claps. Not quite out of impression, more so schadenfreude. Now, upon seeing this, people were understandably skeptical. Beyond just the sheer fact that Nintendo is selling you cardboard for $70, as a business decision, it seemed sketchy. I mean, I really don't think it convinced a single person to get a Switch. But this is marketing to a different audience, and is treating the Switch like just the incidental hardware you use to play the game. So much so that the game case doesn't even have the normal logo. Regardless of what you think, this definitely did change things up. So the day came on April 20th. So if you wanted something to kill time with while you're skipping school in protest of school shootings, Nintendo Labo has your back. Assuming you're protesting school but not to smoke weed. Alright boys, let's do it. You turn the game on and ooh, this game is funky. That's something I need to take a few moments to compliment. This game's artistic direction is phenomenal. It's got the silly Mario Paint-esque Nintendo quirk we were all hoping it would have. Although there aren't many music tracks, what there are really good. Mostly as thinking music for the game, at least. Most people built those cute RC cars and were probably done with it. But ha! You may have not noticed that there are 4 other sets of cardboard that you can make toys out of. So after spending 5 minutes on the car, you can decide if it's worth investing several hours into everything else. So, you build some more after clearing the alcohol and antidepressants out of the way for a cleaner working environment. Building the Toy-Cons is the most exciting part, even though I don't think it was supposed to be. The tutorials are incredibly useful and easy to follow, even with a couple problems. You're able to move forward, backward, change the camera, speed things up. You have to work hard not to understand what it's telling you to do. I think there's too much time spent on creasing though, at least when compared to the time spent building in the tutorials. By that I mean that even with the ability to speed up and stuff, there's way too much time invested into creasing, but when it gets to building, you'll often be caught off guard and have to move back. The visual and audio effects really capture the satisfaction of building these things, with cute little sound effects whenever you put stuff together along with visual cues. It makes building surprisingly much more fun to do. I also appreciate how the processes are broken down into steps. That seems like a weird thing to mention, but I don't know, it makes taking breaks a lot easier. Seeing how these things work is really cool, especially the fishing rod and piano. Just make sure you crease carefully because the cardboard sucked a lot more ass than I expected. Maybe I should have had lower standards, but this is just cardboard, it's not high quality at all. I know that clicking sound they love to show you sounds great, but trust me, it doesn't last. Like, it didn't last a week for me on the fishing rod. But now you finish a Toy-Con. Fortunately, they come with games. I guess. You can get 2 of those RC cards and play sumo wrestling with them. Or you can fish. Yeah, some of these toys have a lot more potential than others. I'll say it now, I don't care at all about half of these games. I enjoyed building them, but really half of them after being built couldn't keep my attention past a few minutes. The fishing rod's a good example. Fun build. It's cool putting it together and seeing it turn from a bunch of cardboard into a bunch of booming parts. But the minigame is just... ugh. It's not bad, it's just not good. If it was just some throwaway minigame that didn't mean anything, it would be fine. Oh wait, it is throwaway. See, the problem with Nintendo Labo's Variety Kit is that these things are fun to build, but the games you play them with kind of suck. The game is basic as hell, and although it's kinda cool to control, it's debatably not worth your time building. See, it's not throwaway in the way it should be. You spend an hour or so building this thing, and then you can play some mediocre fishing game. That's it. Same goes with the house, which really sucks because the house uses those sketchy infrared stickers in a really creative way. It's fun to torture that little ball thing, but you get kind of bored pretty quickly. It's actually quite interesting how often the game admits its own shortcomings. The Discover sections where the game teaches you how the Toy-Cons work are a bit cheesy, but they are informative. It encourages players to try and cheat the system and confuse the game, which I do like. but they also toot their own horn a lot about how cool the Joy-Cons are and stuff. I think if I had to pick my favorite Toy-Con, it would be the piano. I think it's the only one that on its own inspires real creativity, being an instrument and all that. I consider it the next Mario Paint music creator because I think it has similar potential for creative projects. But as I said, some of these Toy-Cons just take up space. I know I often underestimate Nintendo fans and what they're willing to invest time into, but with Nintendo Labo, I just don't see it lasting. I mean, it's been a month. When was the last time you've heard actual discussion about it? Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with all these things now that I've built them? It's not like they're made to be deconstructed, even though I guess it's possible. I'm not interested in catching all the fish or doing whatever the hell I'm supposed to do in that house minigame. And this is where the big problem with Nintendo Labo reveals itself. Nintendo Labo suffers from a lack of purpose. The making, playing, and discovering are not nearly as intertwined as they really should be. What the game expects you to do is, after you have made a Toy-Con consistently, going back to it to play, but it doesn't provide enough to discover to make it worthwhile. It's all really simplistic. But Kyle, you think, this is for little kids. And you're right. Will kids like this? I'm not sure. Nintendo got it right that kids do like a challenge and they like to build stuff. Look at shit like Minecraft. And with at least the piano, there's something to really get good at. So I'm sure kids will get at least a few hours of fun out of this. But remember, this is $70, and Nintendo undermines the base price of the Switch alone being $300 to even be able to play Nintendo Labo on. I don't know about you, but it really seems like Nintendo is trying to get a whole new market with this. The only problem being that they're selling this like it's a system seller. No on-the-fence parent is going to pay $400 so the kid can pretend to fish with cardboard. Cardboard, for Christ's sake. What are we even paying for again? As another game Switch users can get, maybe. I still have my doubts how much enjoyment people can really get out of this. I mean, if I had just bought the cardboard and assembled it from there, I think I'd have had 90% of the fun I overall had. But there's one more moving part, one more gear, one more pillar the foundation of Nintendo Labo was built on, the Toy-Con Garage. This is actually where you might spend a bit more time, and this is what the kids might actually like, at least the cool kids. You can basically program the Joy-Cons and by extension, the Toy-Cons, also the Switch. And although I may not be creative, there are a few who are. You can make a safe, or a dog treat dispenser, or recreate Game & Watch. The best Nintendo really showed you was a guitar you can make by putting rubber bands on your Switch. No thank you. Same goes for the tape and paper people are putting on their Switches. I do partially complain that the safe and all that stuff really has no purpose, but I know that's beside the point. I should give credit where credit is due here. Nintendo Labo lets you get creative in the Toy-Con Garage. If you're not investing time into the piano, you're likely going to be messing around in the Toy-Con Garage. Forget pretty much everything else. So the Nintendo Labo Variety Kit is pretty much what I expected. Underwhelming. It was fun to mess around with and show off to all the rational spenders who wouldn't spend all that money on it, and I'll admit, I think the first few minutes seeing these contraptions you built is really fun. They're really cool to play, but they just don't last very long. If you really spend a lot of time on Nintendo Labo, it'll likely be in the music studio or the secret Toy-Con Garage lab. I think it's earned some credibility in its unique concept and fun assembly, but my main concern is this worth it? Now, a lot of people are willing to pay other people money to make video games or safes or dog treat dispensers, but I wonder if Nintendo Labo is the best way of getting some of that creative energy out. Remember, this is $70, not including the Switch. I mean, I learned about programming and was able to make games almost 10 years ago in WarioWare. And look what they made me do! What Nintendo Labo has above most of the other make-your-own-game programs and games is that it has some sort of physical feedback in the Toy-Cons, and I think that this is good for children. You know, as I said, for the low price of $70. I know I keep saying that, but seriously, the beauty of games like these is how you can take so little and return it into so much. Most of the work is done by the consumer, and as a result, it doesn't have to be so expensive. So why is it $70? Let's do some price work here. If you go on the online store to get replacement sheets, each Toy-Con has a separate price. The accessory pack is $10, the fishing rod is $9, the house is $6, the motorbike is $12, the piano is $12, the RC car is $3, the stickers are $3, and that together you get $55 to replace everything. $15 are devoted to the game. Let's bump that up to $20 because I'm sure they bump up the price of the sheets when bought individually. So likely around $20 of the original pack are devoted to the game. That makes sense. It's pretty simplistic and uses a lot of other games' assets. $50 are spent on the cardboard. What the hell? It's just cardboard. Let's see how much cardboard really costs and how cheap these Japanese motherfuckers really are. Oh.